this year. After facing off in Super Bowl 55, which if you didn't watch, Tom Brady totally dominated and Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. Also got hit in the helmet that one time by Ndamukong Suh. Remember that? They joined forces this offseason to create the cover. So Brandon, Brady and Mahomes sharing the Madden cover is what?
Just another pass. That's all. 2 quarterbacks, another pass. Look, the NFL tried to pass the torch last year from the one GOAT to a baby GOAT, and it just didn't happen. 31-9, Nick, in the Super Bowl. Do you remember that? It was only just in February. 31-9. Unbelievable. That's all it is. Another pass. Yeah,
I'm a conscientious objector to this segment. I'm not answering. You just keep camera on me. I'm not answering. I didn't want to do it. Well, sick of talking about it. We're on to next season.
Y'all bolstered that.
We're on to next. There we go.
Maybe.
Thank you.
Maybe y'all have another shot at it.
Meeting. Back here with NBA champion Antoine Walker. Also a great Celtic for the record, Antoine. As a Celtic guy, I don't like how we always say NBA champion. All Heat talk. Talking Nets Bucks game 6. Giannis, Chris Middleton, clearly with a sense of urgency from the opening tip. Middleton ended up with a game-high 38. Giannis, 30. Bucks led wire to wire in this one. They win, headed back to Brooklyn for game 7. Antoine, you think game 6 was more of a dud from Brooklyn or great execution from the Bucks?
Look at that.
I got to give the Bucks a lot of credit. They could have easily folded and after that heartbreaking loss in obviously game 5, but they came out with great energy, jumped on Brooklyn in that first quarter and kind of established themselves early on that they were here to play and they were going to have energy all night. But I thought the Bucks defense was tremendous. I thought P.J. Tucker, who's Kevin Durant's had a great series offensively, but a guy who's took on the challenge and who's guarded Kevin Durant every play and tried to make it hard for him, had great energy. I thought Giannis did a terrific job of protecting the basket. Brook Lopez was really active on the defensive end as well. So I don't want to take anything away from what the Bucks was able to do defensively. And offensively, they simplified it. Chris Middleton was much more aggressive. They need him to continue to do that going into Game 7, but I thought his aggressiveness was great. Even Holiday, even though Holiday wasn't efficient, I thought his aggressiveness on the offensive end was spectacular as well. So I like what the Bucks said. They responded really well in the home game, in the elimination game, to force a Game 7 to put themselves in a great position to still win this series.
Twan, this was a dud from Brooklyn. Let's set aside KD. KD did what he was supposed to do. He didn't go out there and overcompensate like he did in Game 5 and put up 49, but he did his job, man. His game was so smooth last night, and he played well on the defensive side. But James Harden contributed more. Game 5, 5 points. He wasn't supposed to play, and then he came in, 16 points. Great job there. But in these moments, James Harden, he's known for being able to create his own shot, create space. He did that out there on the perimeter. Now, James Harden don't have that burst to be able to get to the bucket, so it takes away a lot of his game. But you need to start hitting these shots in those big moments. He hit a couple, but you need a couple more when you see KD doing it all. That was their offense last night. It was literally bring up the ball, find KD, and watch KD. So James Harden in those big moments in the third quarter, fourth quarter, he wasn't hitting those shots. He was getting the separation. And then I would also say for James Harden, take more shots. Like, let's go. This elimination game, I want to see James Harden take more shots. Joe Harris, oh my goodness. Joe Harris has turned himself into Ben Simmons. He's literally missed 22 out of his last 27 threes. That is a problem. Nick, I promise you right now, if you suit up, you're in Brooklyn, right? Or you're in New York, you live in the city, you live in Harlem, where you live?
Yeah.
Where you live?
Harlem,
you live somewhere in the city.
I go out there. I could also miss 22 of 27.
Well,
confirmed. I could miss 22 of 27. I could maybe miss 24 or 27.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a Nets jersey. I want you to go suit up, okay? And I promise you, you'll hit 2 out of maybe 10 threes, okay? So we need somebody to go out there and shoot. And then there's a couple things out there, Nick, where you can see guys not really living up to the moment. And I'm not going to call any names right now. I know I'm supposed to be, down the middle as an analyst, but the Nets are my team. And I need my guys to compete
upset with
and play at a
Uncle
high-level Game 7.
Yeah.
But Oh, don't go. Yeah. Jeff, don't get Jeff.
You wanted more
Uncle
from Jeff Green. You got the taste of that narcotic in Game 5. That Jeff Green narcotic. You're like, oh, look at this guy. See why he was the number 5 pick. And then it's like, oh, I see why he's been on 7 teams. All right, so listen.
I'll leave Uncle Jeff alone.
Brooklyn is exhausted. Brooklyn's exhausted. And Durant is understandably exhausted. You might not. There's one part of the box score that I can prove it to you by. KD shot 2 free throws last night. And when that is the situation, it's like, oh, that's not who he is. And in fact, he missed it. That's never been who he is. And you look at his history in the playoffs. There's one game he shot fewer where he wasn't on a pitch count, and it was a decade ago. But I want to drill down into where often playoff games are won or lost, Antoine, because there was something, the end of the second and third quarter. I know this game ended up being a blowout, but it was a 5-point game in the fourth quarter. And if you look at the final minute of the second and third quarter, some is bad luck, some is bad execution, but I think this is how the game flipped. Joe Harris, wide open 3, miss. Next time down the court, Giannis finds Middleton, bang. That's +3. Next time down the court, KD, that's a great shot, just missed. Next time down the court, Giannis makes a great decision, bang. 6-0 to end the first half. And by the way, right after this, KD shot his only free throws of the game, missed them both. Now show the end of the third quarter. James Harden tries one of these fall down before you're even touched situations. It leads to a transition bucket, semi-transition by Middleton. Next time down the court, KD misses, and the Bucks steal a basket here, and they end this quarter 6-0 as well. Antoine, if this game was a 4-point game going into the fourth quarter, I feel like Milwaukee would have been terrified. I feel like every time Brooklyn was within 3 possessions, Milwaukee was like, oh my God, what's happening? But Middleton bailed them out. Those end of quarter moments matter so much in these playoff games because it kept Milwaukee comfortable. It kept Milwaukee where it's like, okay, we can breathe. I thought those were 2 massive 45-second sequences to end the second and the third quarter.
Well, Nick and Brandon, I think you guys made 2 great points. First, let me touch on Brandon's point about the others. Now, being on a championship team and a team that wants to be a great team, the others have to play well. And what you're seeing from Brooklyn right now is a supporting cast that we've commended all season long. Now is not showing up. The Joe Harrises. Jeff Green obviously has been in and out the lineup. We need him to be more consistent. Blake Griffin did not have a really good game. Where's Bruce Brown at? So you got guys that you've been relying on throughout the series to play well when your superstars are banged up and they're not showing up. In order to win Game 7, the others have to play well. I watched you guys talk about how great KD was, and it was the best game of his career and everything he did great in Game 5. But no, Jeff Green had 27. Blake Griffin had 17. They both had efficient nights. And Brooklyn, if people don't pay attention, Brooklyn wins when they shoot the three-point shot well. When they do not make threes, they do not win. When they're able to make 15 to 23s a game, they win most of those games. And Nick, to your point, any good coach that comes out of that last timeout before each quarter, he always talks about finishing the quarter well, finishing the last 3 minutes well. And obviously when some Steve Nash is probably as a young coach is not thinking about, we got to close this quarter out very well and hard. So this can mean a lot, especially the second quarter, momentum swings, things can happen. So that's why you have to make sure that you make emphasis to your guys the last 2 to 3 minutes of each quarter, that you play hard and you make smart decisions where you, one, do not either let the lead increase or you don't, you know what I'm saying, or you keep the lead the same because you may usually go to your second string at that time. So you got to think about those things, but those are 2 great points. But the supporting cast is going to win this game in Game 7 for either team. We know what the Stars are going to do. The Stars have been consistent in this series. What are the supporting cast going to do? Which supporting cast is going to show up?
Antoine, I want to ask you about Giannis's shot selection, specifically his discipline in not taking what are fine shots for other people, but are bad shots for him. in the course of these playoffs, we've seen superstars kind of do their thing. KD, do your thing. Trae Young, do your thing. Donovan Mitchell, do your thing. For Giannis is unique, where it's like, hey, don't do this thing. Do your thing very